Hello, beautiful souls. It's Cosmic Christy here, and today I just wanted to do a very quick video to talk about full moons. So, Livia is one of the subscribers. Hello, Livia, and I love your messages. I'm very grateful for the messages that you leave on YouTube because, it gives me an idea of what you guys are going through, what you identify with, and gives me a place to start adding some information, especially things that I've been through. So, like many of us, we've been told and believed and had very real, extremely real cause and effect situations over our lifetime regarding our health. And I first want to say, I am by no means saying that those things weren't real. I am by no means saying that when you're ill, you're not feeling it. I'm by no means disregarding disease as a whole as being non-existent. However, we actually have recently come to the place in evolution where we are understanding more of the mind and body connection. And this is a very long topic, and this is not a topic that you can just come online and say in even a 3-hour video and somebody walk away and have an understanding and a knowing of it. So I would like to take this very slow, and what I want us to think about in this video on this topic is the power of suggestion and the power of your mind taking a thought, or like a diagnosis, for example, taking a diagnosis that you've been told that you have some type of ailment, whether it be something as common as a cold or the flu, or in extreme cases, this is cancer. This is life-threatening. Or it could be situations like myself where I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. They told me I had lupus for a day. I definitely have celiacs, but I know that those are linked to diet and treatable, the celiacs. You hear stories all of the time where people have tumors in their body and they live perfectly normal lives until they find out they have a tumor, until a doctor tells them that they have this disease. And although the tumor's been there for years, after the patient or the person accepts this reality to be so, they die within 3 months. They die within 6 months. What we're waking up to understanding is quite opposite than everything that we've ever believed in, everything that we know and that we were taught. The healthcare system is set up to make money, to sell chemicals, some of which quite possibly are tied to the cartel, just as the illegal drugs that are on the street. Now, please understand that there's no blame in any of this. I'm not saying we should blame doctors. I'm not saying we should blame government. I'm not saying we should blame anybody. What I'm saying is that when you connect the DNA in your body to your mind consciously, then consciously you can heal yourself. Consciously you can slim yourself. Consciously you can stop aging. And these are all proven. But on the flip side of that, what's been happening for centuries and thousands of years is this knowing that our mind controls the DNA in our body has been used against us. It's been used against us. To no fault of the medical system, to no fault of the education system, to no fault of the beautiful people that have such strong intent, we did not know. These are the types of realizations and knowings that are all popping up, and especially with the people and humanity that has awoken to the current state of especially the United States of America. We have lived in tiny bubbles up until technology came about to where I can have a conversation with people on the other side of the world, which I do quite frequently, because we need to know how other people live. We need to know what's going on there, and we need to know firsthand as best as possible. And I do understand that there's people that portray themselves to be different, but we also cannot live in fear. Fear is how we've lived. Fear is what has driven America to consume. Fear has driven America to blame. Fear has driven mankind to hate and war against each other for land that really belongs to all of us. And for reasons that they're fighting, they sometimes don't even understand why they're fighting anymore. And I don't want to get off complete topic here, but you have to understand this. In order to bring about change, which is what our souls are calling for and is part of our evolution, if you don't understand what you can change, then you can't change it. And I have, health stories that I'm going to share with you, and I haven't pulled out my pictures and that yet, but, I've lost 120 pounds in 9 years. Only the past 6 months have I consciously been healing my body. And when I say that, we're energy, and quite literally the energy that we put off about our body our body hears it. But we were never told that we could talk to our body. We were never told that we have control over our bodies, especially the insides of our bodies, except for the food that we eat, right? But there's way more to it than this. And if you really take a moment to look at the people that have cured cancer and found cures for cancer, and there's many cures for cancer. The first cure is not to get it. But we think that we have no control of that, but that is not true. We have complete control of our vessels. We have complete control of our energy. We have complete control in what we allow ourselves to believe and we allow our mind to connect with. Those neural pathways all have energy. So if you keep yourself in a lower vibration and a lower frequency, and you are convinced that your mother had cancer and your grandmother had cancer, so you're going to get cancer, guess what? You're causing that. If you look at the medications that they give you, like for me, I had migraines, and now I know. Now I know I'm a strong empath, clairvoyant, whatever, all of it. And so, my frequency was so low all my life that when I would get these messages and knowings and activations, a lot of the time the pressure became so great in my brain and my blood vessels that there was swelling, and it's because it's kind of like that tornado effect. You've got a low pressure and you've got a high pressure, and when they create that one little bitty hook right there when these two pass. And so that's what was kind of constantly going on inside my body, where there was no flow. So I would get these migraines. And there really wasn't any drugs that just treated migraines, prevented them back in the 80s and the early 90s especially. So they'd give, gosh, guys, I was 13 years old. I found out later in life that one of the pills they gave me was liquid LSD, medical LSD, called Sansert. And 13 years old, freaked out, tripped out in my parents' house. Our parents gave us these medications because they didn't know any better, but it's the same thing that's happening now. The doctors are in bed with the pharmaceutical companies. They're giving them kickbacks, and the doctors are thinking, for the most part, that they're giving good medications and that's solving the issue. But it's all just money changing hands, and it's all consumerism. And so this is my point. They could have made a migraine medication that just stopped the migraine. It released the blood vessels that ended up coming out later. But instead, they want to put you on beta blockers, and they want to put you on heart medication, and they want to put you on antidepressants, which are the major one. And they convince you that you have to have it because you're depressed. Well, you're depressed because you're living your life the way society has told us to live it, which no longer makes sense to your soul. It doesn't make sense to your soul because it's not natural. I don't want to get on a Bender conspiracy thing, but we know this. We know that there's chemicals in our water. We know that there's chemicals that they're spraying from the sky right in front of us. So if those two things are true, and I don't want you to completely, I know this stuff kind of sounds crazy. I get that, because when I woke up, it's just 6 months ago again. I keep saying this, but it's important to realize, because I'm not a conspiracy theorist. This isn't, my brain's worked that way a little bit, but if you would have told me this before my vibration changed and my frequency changed, and I started going through this process by will or by force, is typically how it works. And for me, it was by force, because I had been so stubborn my whole life, and so I had a shock activation. Some of you, have been working through this and have been trusting your intuition, and I fought against it hand and foot. Didn't know anything about any of this. But I know it works, because I've never looked better. I've never been healthier. I have had a few migraines, but nothing that made me go to the hospital, because I was able to understand even that I mentally had triggered that migraine, because it had been a way for me to rest and get away from everybody, and have a day to myself, and not feel like I was being selfish, and be left alone. And there's sometimes that I didn't have a migraine, but that's what I told people, just because I needed a break. And I'm admitting this, but not to say that I didn't have them, but there are times that happened. And I know that you understand what I'm saying. So it's easier. Isn't it a shame that in our society it's easier for me to say, oh, I have a migraine, or I have this affliction, or I have this, or I have this, just because I'm having to feel like I make an excuse to spend time with myself in order to take care of myself, because in our society it's all about taking care of everyone else, especially if you're a female mother. So we have to be very careful about what we believe about ourselves. We have to be very careful about what we accept to be the truth. If we believe it, it will be so. And, we're still working through this. There is no owner's manual for any of this. But what I do know is that if you continually make an affirmation, which is what you're doing, that XYZ causes XYZ, then in your reality, that is going to be your reality. So since we know that to be a cause and effect situation, what harm would it do to flip the script? I am healthy. Body, and I'll want to go through a meditation with shrinking your consciousness and going in and finding programs that are in your mind, but and talking to your cells, and the first time that you do what kind of occurs, because you can feel for the first time there's a connection, because we didn't know we could do this. But it's worked for me, and I was skeptical, I'll be honest. So this is another case where if you can believe that I believe, and try something simple, just that you can see some type of evidence of. When I started talking to my body, I'm 45, and I had lost a lot of weight. I've lost 120 pounds in 9 years. And so my skin felt a little I'd lost some elasticity. And so I started with things like that. Um, oh, skin, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for protecting me. Thank you for holding the extra weight. And thank you for that weight. I mean, everything is loving what you have and then releasing it. Thank you for holding in all my organs. Thank you for protecting me from the outside. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for adding the padding that I needed, whether it was emotional or not. We are good now, skin and everything. Thank you for blessing me, and you're beautiful, and you're tight, and you're firm, and you are beautiful, because in order for me to be the best me, I have to feel beautiful. So thank you for making me beautiful, and thank you for being tight and making me feel confident. What would it hurt to try it? If you believe it and you give intent, this is how miraculous healings happen. This is how Jesus healed. Jesus healed because the frequency was so strong within him that whomever passed, he healed because they thought he could. And so if you really take a moment and think about just what I've said, and I know this is going to be a little controversial for some of you. I know that you will see results. You will understand this quantum nature and this quantum energy that we are in. And when you see this one little thing that you thought you had no control over change, even just so slightly, then you'll realize that you have control of just about everything. And when you do realize this, then you start down a path of, and this is where I'm at right now, you start understanding what's a program and what's reality, what's true and what isn't. Why do I feel that way? Why did I think that? And what we're going to find out is that a lot of it came from the way we were raised, which is nobody's fault. It's just the way it all happened, but it isn't necessarily true. And we're going to find that our evolution has been interfered with. And it goes a lot deeper than just politics. And we're waking up to how deep it goes. But first things first, think about this. Research what I've talked about. If there's a part that you find interesting, please don't ever accept everything I say is truth, because it's not everybody's truth. This is my truth. I know that there are many parts, the majority of it, that's going to work for other people, but it'll work for them in their way. And that's all that really matters. There is no brochure to ascension. There is no one way to raise your frequency and become enlightened and start living life the way we're supposed to live it, as godly beings, as benevolent beings on a beautiful planet that we are naturally intertwined with, that supports us and doesn't work against us. This is heaven on earth. This is the return of Christ consciousness, which was promised, and it's here. But it has to start And one of the easiest places to start is to become aware of the things that we accept in this life because we were told to accept them or trained to accept them. So I know that doesn't answer Livia's question, right? But that's the thing about this, this whole process. There's no right or wrong answer. There's just perceptions on things. And if you don't agree with me, I completely respect that. And I'd love to hear what your true feelings are and what your truth is about the subject, as long as it's positive and with love, because those are perceptions that other people might see that didn't quite intertwine with the perception I just gave, and that's beautiful. This is just a place for us to talk about these things. So thank you so much. I hope it gave you a little bit more information, and we'll keep building from here on this health topic, because it's a very large one, as you can imagine. But hey, we start somewhere and we keep going. And so just pick one thing about your body. I just had one other quick thing I wanted to add in here. You know how mine was always my butt. Like I was always concerned about my butt. My butt looks big. My butt looks big. My hips look big. My stomach was always flat. But then I had friends that their stomach was always bigger and their legs were always thin. But they loved their legs. They talked about their legs all the time. Look at my legs. But I wish my stomach wasn't like this. And when they looked in the mirror, they'd look at it and they'd go, ugh, just 10 more pounds, or ugh, it won't fit. With their stomach, I would do the same thing about my legs. I've got a flat stomach. I love my stomach. But I wish it would just go down. Or does my butt look big in these jeans? Right? No, the jeans, you know that whole joke. But anyway, really think about that. Yes, your body could hold in different areas. Yes, it could be genetic. But you're also telling your body every single time you look at your butt and you roll your eyes, you're telling it that it's big and that it's holding fat, and so it continues to do it. Your stomach, if their stomach is your problem area, you're doing the same. You're going, look at that, look at that. Okay, look at that. Draw attention to it. That's where the energy's going. So that's where it's working against you. But your stomach automatically stays flat. But you're always telling everyone how much you love your abs, how much you love your legs. So it's worth taking a look at. So have a beautiful full moon of Taurus. Don't forget to write out, please. The full moon happened last night, but it's also a strong energy today, and the astrology that is going on right now is just really beautifully insane. Full moon of Taurus is ruled by Venus. It's love, it's beauty, and it was so beautiful, so beautiful. So on full moons, just don't forget, this is your time to release anything in your life that you no longer is serving your highest good, or the highest good of humanity is what I always add in there, but this is your choice, your affirmation. And you can release big things, you can release little things. The one little thing that I will add is, when you release the energy of whatever it is that you're releasing, whether it's a person or a situation, when you bring it up and ask the universe and God and Jesus and starseeds and archangels, or whoever you want to communicate with on it, identify the emotion that you're looking to release. So if I am releasing my bankruptcy, I'm releasing all the bad things that had to do with my financial problems from the bad sell of my company. Then I write it out, or if you don't have time to write it out, that's fine. It's when you're getting started with full moons, I think it's way better to write them out. But if you just identify with your heart what emotion that is that you're letting go and attach it to this object, this thought that you're releasing. If you write it down, then it's an object, and then you burn it and let it go and release as many things as you want to release. But remember that when you release, then you also have to bring back in. Remember I told you in my last video, I released too much and then I didn't bring enough back in. And on the new moons, we get to bring things back in. We have that energy of coming back into life, of rebirth. But it's a couple of weeks away. So I always strongly encourage to release some baggage, but don't go crazy like I did and like release everything all at once, because it does get released all at once. So really think about what that is, and then, with intention of what you're bringing back in, because you can't keep building on the same land if there's something already there. You got to tear it down and haul it away, and then you can have something new. So happy full moon. All my million angels sing, all my trillion angels sing, amen. And can I get a hoot hoot? Have a beautiful Saturday, and I will talk to you soon. Namaste.